Guru Sri Juta Padakamalang.
Hare Krishna, welcome to our channel Bhagavad-gita. Here it is, because here it is, Bhagavad-gita as it is, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and my name is Labanga Latika. So we are reading Bhagavad-gita, and we have methodically gone through everything except the first chapter. I kind of just summarized that because, yes, it's very much based in the culture of Mahabharata, and if we come to Bhagavad-gita without that background, I find it just makes things complicated. We can go back and read it after, perhaps. And now we are in the 7th chapter, Knowledge of the Absolute, and we are reading text 15. And since the purport is very long, we've already been reading this verse for two of the videos, and it will be that verse today also, because last verse, text 14 in the chapter 7, says, this is of course a conversation. Krishna and Arjuna are speaking. Krishna speaks more, of course. Arjuna comes up with questions and observations, but Krishna is giving this knowledge. So that's one way of reading it, just reading the verses through. Another way is reading it this way, because when our Srila Prabhupada translated Bhagavad-gita, he gave us these commentaries in order for us to be able to understand Bhagavad-gita better and enter into Bhagavad-gita better without making mistakes or without becoming alienated if we come from a very different culture. So it speaks about the soul. It speaks about how we can actually, in a practical way, get out of this illusion that makes us think, I'm this body, I am connected to this world, I belong to a certain time, culture, so many things. And of course the Vedas are full of descriptions of liberation, mukti, but what Krishna is saying, actual liberation isn't just a question of getting out of the illusion. It's also a question of becoming situated in the spiritual identity, in the spiritual reality that goes beyond these senses, this matter, this world that consists of matter, or rather a combination of spirit and matter, because if we wouldn't be here, conscious living entities, then nothing would really happen. So in text 14, Krishna says, this divine energy of mine, consisting of the 3 modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome, but those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. And that's the point. When we read text 15, we have to remember text 14, because text 14 speaks about the positive, how to get out of this illusion, because this energy of this world is very powerful, and it keeps us in a certain illusion is a good word, but it's more than an illusion. It creates such a because now we use the word virtual reality, but actually this word is nothing but a virtual reality. We are projected into it in such a way that it all seems real and it all makes sense, but so do our dreams, as long as we're in them. As soon as we get out of the dream, they don't make any sense at all. But here Krishna says, to get out of it, the best way, the easiest way, the most complete way is to surrender unto Krishna, to take shelter with Krishna, because he is the controller of this energy. And the only reason, yes, this is actually when you come down to it, the only reason we're here is because we have turned our back on the spiritual reality where we are all connected to Krishna in a relationship of loving service. So if we accept Bhagavad-gita, if we want to read Bhagavad-gita, we have, in order to be able to go very deep into the Bhagavad-gita, at least we have to have a hypothetical acceptance of Krishna's premises here. And the premise is this: I am a spirit soul, I am a part of the Supreme Spirit Soul, Krishna, and my relationship to him is one of loving service. So in order to get out of this material world, it's not enough to create a yoga method or to become very powerful and disconnect from everything material. We also have to positively connect to Krishna in loving service. This starts with a certain amount of surrender, acceptance, And that acceptance may be theoretical in the beginning, it may be difficult in the beginning, but ultimately it does lead to the reawakening of that loving relationship to God that we all carry in our hearts, but which now lays dormant. So in that context, this text 15 makes a lot of sense, because if the process is to surrender, what are the obstacles to this surrender? And those obstacles are coming up in this verse. Text 15. Namang duskritino mudha prapadyante naradhamaha mayaya parittagyana asurang bhavam ashritaha. Those miscreants who are grossly foolish, who are lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake of the atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender unto me. So we don't really give a lot of energy into condemning people. It's more like to have an understanding how to do this process. We have to understand this is not how to do it. And I'm starting here where Krishna starts to describe, or Prabhupada starts to describe the third class, number 3. The next class of duskriti is called Mayaya Parittagyana, or those persons whose erudite knowledge has been nullified by the influence of illusory material energy. They are mostly very learned fellows, great philosophers, poets, literati, scientists, etc. But illusory energy misguides them, and therefore they disobey the Supreme Lord. There are a great number of Mayaya Parittagyana at the present moment, even among the scholars of the Bhagavad-gita. In the Gita, in plain and simple language, it is stated that Sri Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There is no one equal to or greater than him. He is mentioned as the father of Brahma, the original father of all human beings. In fact, Sri Krishna is said to be not only the father of Brahma, but also the father of all species of life. He is the root of the impersonal Brahman and Paramatma, the supersoul in every entity in his plenary portion. He is the fountainhead of everything, and everyone is advised to surrender unto his lotus feet. Despite all these clear statements, the Maya Parittagyana deride the personality of God and consider him merely another human being. They do not know that the blessed form of human life is designed after the eternal and transcendental feature of the Supreme Lord. So very often in the modern world we have kind of a problem with religion, a problem with God, because we're kind of brought up in this culture and this atmosphere where religion is something on the side, and if we see the good in it, we see it from a material platform. It makes people peaceful, it makes people well behaved and moral, it encourages people to perform charity and to be good to others, and that is all very good, and those are of course generally good things. The main point with religion is that it is an interface between culture and spirituality, and spirituality means we are spirit souls, we have an eternal relationship with God, and in this life as human beings, if we do not come to that point, then we wasted a very good opportunity to come to that point. And if somebody is not interested, and of course there is no scarcity of people who are not interested in spiritual life and God consciousness, and that's all right on an individual level, but these Maya Parittagyana, those very learned people who are scholars and scientists and teachers and leaders of society, and somehow or another this great knowledge misses a very essential point. Not only do they miss the point for themselves, but they tend to be influential in society, and therefore they also mislead others. They make it more difficult to people to take the spiritual life. I know, I mean, it's not generally. We have people who come in contact with Bhagavad-gita, who come in contact with the Hare Krishna movement, and who find it very directly answers questions that they have been directly considering and battling with, and are very happy. But a lot of people feel that this is very strange, this is very unusual. Yeah, I don't really want to be involved in that. Maybe it's colorful, maybe it's something I take photos of because it's part of the cityscape to see these Hare Krishnas pass by. But taking it seriously, we cannot do it because we are so conditioned by the pervasive ideas of materialism, atheism. So it makes it difficult. And therefore Krishna is pointing out here that this is a problem, this is a stumbling block. Because then we can open our mind, we can open our intelligence and maybe look beyond it, and we may also realize that those what would you call it, conditionings that we bring with us from our culture, when they pop up, we can maybe also notice, okay, here is this thought, here is this doubt, but maybe this isn't really my own problem. Maybe this is just part of the conditioning that comes with being part of this culture. All the unauthorized interpretation of the Gita by the class of Maya Parityajna outside the purview of the Parampara system are so many stumbling blocks on the path of spiritual understanding. The deluded interpreters do not surrender unto the lotus feet of Sri Krishna, nor do they teach others to follow this principle. And again, we've said it before, it has come up before, but really, if we want to read Bhagavad-gita, if we appreciate Bhagavad-gita, then we should kind of accept what Bhagavad-gita says itself. We shouldn't take some roundabout explanation. We should try and hear what is Krishna actually saying, and what happens if I try to accept it and apply it. Because Bhagavad-gita is practical. Bhagavad-gita is not just a structure of words and ideas. It is applicable. It's something we can take with us in our lives. 4. The last class of Duskriti is called Asurang Bhava Mashrita, or those of demonic principles. This class is openly atheistic. Some of them argue that the Supreme Lord can never descend upon this material world, but they are unable to give any tangible reason as to why not. There are others who make him subordinate to the impersonal feature, although the opposite is declared in the Gita. Envious of the Supreme Personality of God, the atheist will present a number of illicit incarnations manufactured in the factory of his brain. Such persons, whose very principle of life is to decry the personality of God, cannot surrender unto the lotus feet of Sri Krishna. So I see this so often. There is some discussion, or there is some point being presented, and then somebody turns up and says, well, in this day and age when we have scientific proof for everything, how is it that people are still religious? How is it that people still believe in God? When we can prove that this is imagination or a fairy tale or something like that. And they say this like it makes sense, like it's completely normal. And then those of us who have somehow started this path, started to invite Krishna back into our lives, and have started to awaken that sense of connection, that sense of love. It is very painful. It's like if you go somewhere and you talk about your mother, and then some people would say, don't you know, there is no mother. This is just an idea to make you feel safe in this world where actually, we're all here on our own and we have to just make the best of it. And you know your mother, so you can just laugh it off. But with God, it's sometimes we're a little distant from him, because we've been in this world, we're covered in this illusion, and Krishna, it's not that he forgets us, but he allows us to forget him, because we have that desire. So he gives us this world, let's call it this virtual world, because it is a world, we're in it, but it's a little bit like a dream. It's not the complete eternal existence of the soul. And we have forgotten him a little bit, but then when we start to hear about him, when we start to get to know him, then this is this is actually the worst class, because if you're just a little bit impressed with your own intelligence and your own knowledge, or if you're just kind of a little foolish, or a little not so conscious, not so present in existence, just taking advantage of this world and enjoying it on a very material level, that can be a mistake. This one is more like directly opposing God. And even in the Vedas, this is quite interesting. We hear the word demon and we think demon, that's something out of a horror movie, maybe, you know, green skin and fangs and claws and like that. To be a demon is more of a mentality, the mentality of trying to kill God. And we have great big demons in the history of the Puranas very long ago who absolutely knew Vishnu, because in those days the demigods would travel from the different planets and Vishnu would appear sometimes. So he wasn't just information from a book or a very old story. He was somebody who they would know. And they just decided, okay, this Vishnu, he may be very powerful, but I'm going to become even more powerful so I can kill him. So that's an honest demon, that's an honest atheist, accepting that Vishnu exists, but desiring to annihilate him, to kill him, to become superior to him. But that is the same type of mentality that is carried in this determined atheism. Some people are just atheists because the culture rubs off on them and they haven't seen any reason to go against that. Just like they will often accuse religious people of just being a little mindless and just doing what people tell them and believing in something in a book. Nowadays, I would say atheism is like that. We go through school, we learn all about the beginning is considered like a Big Bang theory. The existence of different species is believed to come out of a mindless process of evolution. Of course, the different species are existing, but that how they are unfolding during the time of the universe is under Krishna's direct influence. And the first atheists were maybe a little bit brave and stood up against some church that had a little too much power and so on. Today, being an atheist is not a sign of individuality and strength of character. It's just following the stream, picking up what you heard. Nobody has seen an evolution. Nobody has seen a Big Bang. Nobody has seen an atom. Because we believe in atoms. We do. But we don't believe that this universe just came about by chance and we just evolved by chance. Because Krishna is giving indications how he did it. And that's not really Bhagavad-gita. That's something that comes later. But it's a very interesting series of events that turned into the creation of the universe. And people will kind of just follow what they heard in school and what everybody else says and not question it very much. But some are very determined. And that's this class. And when you're very determined to reject Krishna, of course you're not going to surrender to him. And when you are not willing to try that process of bhakti, that process of loving surrender, you will also not be able to overcome material nature on your own, because material nature is very, 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 very powerful. Sri Yamunacharya Alabandharu of South India said, "O my Lord, you are unknowable to persons involved with atheistic principles, despite your uncommon qualities, features and activities, despite your personality being confirmed by all the revealed scriptures in the quality of goodness, and despite your being acknowledged by the famous authorities renowned for their depth of knowledge in the transcendental science and situated in the godly qualities." So these are the Vedic proofs. You know, you hear about Krishna's qualities, features and activities. You hear about how those who have come before us and who have this vast knowledge and realization, how they are confirming this knowledge. So that's a little different from our theories. So that's Yamunacharya. Therefore, 1, grossly foolish persons. 2, the lowest of mankind. 3, the deluded speculators, and 4, the professed atheists, are as above mentioned, never surrender unto the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead, in spite of all scriptural and authoritative advice. So we know now, those people, they don't do that. So we don't want to be those people. It's actually quite interesting when you meet an atheist who's a real believer and who wants to convince you. And despite saying that they're coming from a platform of just rational, modern intelligence, it's actually a belief. It's a belief system. So what we believe, you can't really prove that God is there, and you can absolutely not prove that He's not there. How we are able to see God in our life, in this world, depends very much on what we want to see. If we don't want to see God, He's not going to force Himself on us. And if we want to come closer to Him, He will give us all the opportunities and all the abilities. And therefore, when we have come all the way into the 7th chapter, let's aim for that. Let's aim for coming closer to Krishna, and let's aim for not being one of these 4 people. And when we see these people, we don't need to be very impressed with them. We also don't need to be, upset or get into a debate or get disturbed, because this is the material world. It's meant for those of us who turned our back on Krishna, but it is also meant for those of us who want to turn back to Him again. So that's what we want to do. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. I have some links in the box below here in the text. You can find the Bhagavad-gita, you can find a temple, and you can find playlists for all the chapters that we have gone through so far. If there are any questions, I would be delighted to find them in the comment field below. I'll come back to them as soon as I find them. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. And we put up new videos every Tuesday and Friday. Welcome back.
Thank you for watching. We aim for updates every Tuesday and Friday. Please come back. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down there. We also have some links and information for you. And there is, of course, the subscribe button. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
I'm a Hare Krishna, and I approve this message. Subscribe.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare